Good morning. We're at the point now. This is day 5 of the refinishing of the Winchester 94, where we're going to start doing some working on the metal. We're going to work on the bluing. Bluing is a process by which a coating is put on the metal to help protect it. It looks good. That's one of the things. And the other thing is that it's the black oxide, which is a black rust. It's a control thing, and it will help to prevent rusting of your firearm, but it's not a rust proofer. It just helps to inhibit it, and you have to keep putting oil on it or whatever, because that's what really prevents the rust from forming on your gun. So you have different types of bluing. You have your hot bluing, which is what you see when you buy a gun. The black on there is hot bluing, and what happens is you have some chemicals that you put inside the solution, and you bring it up to a high temperature of about 300 degrees or so, and well, maybe below 300 degrees, but somewhere around there. And you stick your piece of metal in there, and there's a chemical reaction which causes it to rust, and then the heat that's on it causes the regular rust to turn into black oxide. So it's a pretty solid thing. There's rust bluing, which I've tried and have not been able to succeed at, where you buy a chemical or make it such a way that your metal becomes rusty, and the stuff I have forms this brown coating on the metal, and then you take and you boil it, and because boiling turns regular rust into black rust, black oxide, and you do that again and again and again until you get the desired finish that you want. There's a type of coating that they put on called parkerization, and it's actually a lot more sturdy than regular bluing, and and it's used a lot of times on firearms because it's well, you've seen it maybe if you've seen a gun that's been redone and they put the parkerization. It's like almost I'm trying to think, it's a real dull type coating that's on the gun, and it's uniform, and it's actually it's pretty sturdy. Now the other thing is what I like to use, or what I can use. I don't have the ability to. I don't have big troughs full of stuff that I can put boil and put my guns inside of, which I wish I could, but I don't. Is I use what they call cold bluing. Cold bluing is actually not a type of conversion of the surface of the metal using rust. It's actually a deposit that's put on there by copper selenium, I think is what it's called, and it just forms a layer on top of the metal itself. It looks like regular bluing. It's not as durable as regular bluing, obviously, because it's a coating. But for me, it works just well because I'm not really rough on the guns, because I'm not really out there every day shooting and whatever. The thing about the cold bluing that I like is the fact that if for some reason something happens to it, where it rubs, in a certain area that it might rub off a little bit, is you can do touch-ups with it at home, and just and you can make it look good again. A lot of people use this cold bluing as touch-ups for their regular bluing, but I use it for the whole weapon. Okay, let's get going. One of the things that people use is this birchwood casey. The label's off of this thing, kind of, but it has a lot of different bluing solutions, and there's a lot of different choices that you have. The first thing I have here is my rust remover and bluing remover, and I use that if I'm not planning on polishing the metal, and it takes the bluing off, and it'll also take the rust off, and put it on, wait 10-15 minutes, and you rinse it off, and it does a pretty good job. There's these are the chemicals that I use. This is alcohol. These are some good things. You can buy these, like I think I bought this at Dollar General, and you take it, you push down on it, and you get your alcohol or whatever you happen to have or whatever you want. Okay, so these are the chemicals that I use. I use this stuff. It's called Vans. It's a liquid bluing, and I like it as an undercoating for what I plan to do. Um, my cold bluing, I use a two-step process, sometimes a three-step process, to get things as black as I really want them to be. Some people like a grayer bluing. That's fine. That's up to them. It's their gun, and they'll use just the Vans or they'll use just whatever. And like I said, I use a process of several chemicals, and I get things as black as I can. Another one that I use as a top coat is it's Presto Mag. That's also I sometimes use that as the last coat to make sure that it's good and black. And the other thing I use is oh, there it is the Oxbow. So I start out with the Vans, then I go the Oxbow. Usually it's pretty black by then. If it's not, then I use a coat of the Presto Mag. The thing with the Presto Mag is you have to rinse it off after you apply it, and there's something about rinsing, putting water on your gun, and but so you have to be real careful that when you dry it off and make sure you put some oil on it or something to make sure that that it doesn't rust on you. Okay, so we're gonna put all the stuff over here. So what we're gonna do is, you can see I've already done the receiver. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the barrel. Now the barrel, what you gotta do is when you do it, you gotta make sure that you do it evenly so that your barrel doesn't look like crap. Uh, one of the ways that I do it is I take just a regular shop towel, wrap it up, stand up for this, and I dip it in the Vans, get it good and wet, and I take it and I start rubbing it up and down. Make sure you get it evenly. Now this is not going to be a perfect bluing job, and that's because there's a lot of pitting on the barrel, but we can minimize that, I think, by making things as dark as possible. So I've removed the rear sight, so to make this easy so I don't have to go around it. And then what we're going to do is put this on, and it's not going on, you can see it's going on, man, with light like that. It's not going on as evenly as you might like to have it happen, but that's okay. You press down a little bit hard, and it's starting to change color. So bluing is important. If you have good bluing on your gun, it really it makes things pop out, especially with a nice piece of wood that you have it laying in. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let this sit for a few minutes. I don't know if you can see it's starting to change color. Let's see if I can move this out some. Up there. So you can start to see that it's changing color. Then I'm going to take a rag. I'm going to wipe it off and take a look and say, well, it's not that even. It's kind of blotchy. So with the blotchiness, one of the things that you can do is take a piece of steel wool and just gently rub over it, and you'll see that it's less blotchy than it was. Okay. Now I'm going to give it another coat. Good, it's starting to turn good and dark. But you have to be patient with gluing. I'm not a patient guy, but with the bluing, you have to be patient because each layer that you do, the other layer sits on top of. So if you have a rush through it and don't set a good foundation, then every layer after that's going to look like crap. Right. I hope you can see that it's starting to turn black. The Vans is doing its job. Let that sit for a couple of minutes. And yeah, this gun is actually turning out to be a much nicer gun than I thought it was going to be. The bluing, yeah, there's some pitting, and but I guess the bottom line is, if it shoots, which it will, then then I guess we're done with the Vans for now. So I don't know if you can see, but it's starting to really turn dark, and that's a good thing. Because we just spilt the Vans, which is fine. I mean, we can get some more, but there's enough in there for one more coat of Vans. So we're gonna so there we go. And for those of you that might be interested in how my Parkinson's is doing, my Facebook buddies already know that I've had my driving restricted, and this week it's been decided that I'm going to be cutting back on my work hours, which is not something I really want to do. But then that leaves me more time to work here. But still, it's people say, "How's your Parkinson's?" I say, "Progressing nicely, thank you." And it is. Oops, the Vans. Okay, now we've got a nice black starting right now. I think. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, you can see it. We got a nice black starting, and that's just with the Vans. So then what I do is one day I'm going to get a nice camera type thing. Maybe Christmas is around the corner. You never know. So next comes the next step. Next is the next step. Mess with the Vans. So the next step is I'm going to use the Oxbow. The Oxbow is a cream, and when you put it on top of the vans, it really gets dark. And it's already dark, and it's just going to make it that much more dark. Now, to put the Oxbow on, I have found, and I read it, and I found that it really works for me, is to put it on with a piece of steel wool. This is the very fine steel wool. This is the 4/0 steel wool, and you just dip it in, and you put it on. Yeah, it wasn't until recently that I realized that cold bluing is not the same. Well, it's not the same as regular bluing. I know that, but that it doesn't actually rust your metal. It deposits a layer of metal on top of it that makes it look like it's been rusted. This is not something that if I was a border patrol agent or a cop or something that carried a gun every day, or if I was some kind of an animal control person, something that I would be using my gun every day, I'm not sure that cold bluing would be the answer, and it probably would be better off getting a different type of bluing. I'm still going to work on that rust bluing because it's also very sturdy. But what I need is something big enough that I can boil water that's uh, that's big enough to put all my barrels in and stuff or whatever. So it would have to be, at least 3 feet long or so. I don't know if you can see this or not, but this thing's turning black. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit and let this sit for a few minutes. And this project has been, it's been an amazing project for me. Actually, all my projects that I do for the most part, except for that musket that I didn't do wasn't so enthusiastic about. But it's turned out from a gun that was in really rough shape uh, to one that it's turning out that it's going to be a good looking gun and it's going to be a good shooting gun. And uh, and I'm glad that I'm able to do this for my friend. And this isn't one of those guns again that what had happened was an old man had these guns. I don't know how many guns he had, but they were apparently on the floor in his mudroom, and his dog used to go out and piss on them for whatever reason, anti-gun or something, and over the period of time, the animal urine really rusted the guns themselves, and so this has given this gun a second life, which is what I have done to all my guns, is I've taken them and given them a second life, and so animal rescue, it's gun rescue. So all right, let's wipe this down and see what it looks like. Well, I guess I don't know. I got some reloading equipment. Somebody gave me a bunch of dies and the press, and I don't know. I really haven't looked much at it, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to do some reloading. I think I'm going to make that my winter project, is to learn how to do that, and it'll be good, especially with some of my older guns. I'm not able to get the ammo that I need. Certainly, paying $50 a box for ammo is certainly not something that I want to do. Or for one of the guns, I actually paid about $5 per round. It's $5 or $6 a round, and I bought some just because I wanted to fire it. But maybe I've already seen the die for it, the loading dies, so I'll be able to work on that too. I mean, this thing's turning black. I'm gonna do is just use a cotton ball. Do it one more time. Now with the bluing, you can still see some of where the pitting was, but it's less noticeable than it was. So that's the idea. All right. Well, this one I'm going to leave this one on probably for a good 10 or 15 minutes, so we don't have time to do that. So, but anyway, you get the idea. I mean, there's the evidence right there how black it got, and what I'm gonna do is I have to still do the magazine. I forgot all about the magazine, so I need to polish that down and clean it up and blue that. And once that's done, I think I have the hammer and maybe a couple of small pieces that need to be let's see what I got. Well, I got mostly screws and stuff, but uh, what I'll do with the screws and so forth, if they're small enough, is I'll take my vans and I'll just throw them in there, and you leave them in there for a few minutes, and they turn nice and black, so that you're good to go. But anyway, it's 22 minutes in, and I hope that helps you with the bluing. If you ever have any questions about any of this stuff, write me, and I'll write back and answer your questions. And I'm really happy with the way this gun's coming out. So anyway, that's about it. Thank you very much.